Ready? Oh, yes, we're live here. Thanks for joining us. So this is my Facebook Live show group chat. Remember, start your day the KUAM way with our starting lineup of Facebook Live shows. And today we do a group chat, and we're here at the site of the, let me get the Barrigada mayor here, Mayor June Blas. So the name of this site?
Kalaguac Memorial.
And the Kalaguac Memorial, and that means the ribs?
Yes, the rib of the island. Actually, the Barrigada, if you look at the village, the Guam, you look at the island,
Right.
Barrigada is right where the stomach and the rib is located.
Right.
So that's why we named it after Kalaguac. And during the research, we found that this was the historical area where the people were slaved and also had hidden. There's caves in this area
Right.
that the people had
Right, and so you actually agreed to kind of give us a little walkthrough. So we're going to be streaming the ceremony, which is happening in about half an hour or so, all the way live. But we wanted to kind of give you a little sneak peek and then find out a little bit more about the history of this site. So I know we're going to be talking with Colonel Moffness in a few minutes, but if you could, Mayor, just show us around.
And so I want to show you the area. We can go down this way first, okay? And then I'll walk you all the way down.
And so there were a few significant things that happened here. One was that this was a site where Chamorros hid during the bombing of the island.
That's correct. And so on these rocks in this area, underneath the land, there are caves.
Right.
And you don't really see it unless you go down, okay? And so this area here, you know, limestones, right? And so underneath this area here. So I'm going to show you an area on this site that would take us to the actual cave that you see.
And so just real quick, we got this memorial up and running for the 75th Liberation because I know this is a big liberation celebration, but the finishing touches are still being worked on. Like I know we're going to have a reflecting pool here, right?
Well, this one was done by the military, and we can tell because the concrete pad there, when we were clearing, we found it. This wasn't done by us.
Oh, wow.
The pad, that was done by the military. And so we decided to put the memorial here because as you go straight to the backside of here, there is a cave, and it's right there. Oh, wow. I know right now it's overgrown vegetation.
Right. But that's something that you guys plan on fixing over the next year, right?
Yes, we want to. This is just phase one. This is just phase one that we're doing at this time. And then, of course, as we go in different phases in every year, we plan to upgrade and put some, a gate around this area to preserve. But underneath where we're standing, there are other caves underneath here. And in order for you to see this, you really need to come down and take a look at it. On the other side, we do have the staircase that we can come down and kind of take a look at the area. Sure, we can go to the other area.
And so the other thing that makes this site significant and a site worthy of honor and respect is that Chamorros were actually enslaved to build the airfield here at Tizon.
And and yes, it is. And you know the properties in this area are actually farmlands. There were farmlands, and the Japanese took over, and also took over the farmlands for their, for their food, their daily, right? And so those are my grandparents' property, and also my great-grandparents. And they took over. And so building that runway, moving all the rocks for the airplanes to land. And so this area, very sacred.
Right.
I kid you not, when I came in here, the very first time was overgrown vegetation. I felt and I asked permission from them to please forgive me, because as the leader of the village, we want to make sure that we memorialize them. And I can feel their presence even now.
Right.
I can feel it, yes. And because I know that they're here, I know they're sad, but they're happy that finally we're doing something for them. And it's my grandparents and my father that were slaved in this area. And that's why it's very emotional for me.
Right.
Because I promised my father that one day, who am I? I was just a clerk then. But this is something that we want to memorialize our people. And finally, we have one for the central village. Because always it's in the north or in the south. Right. But I know that there's something that happened in the central. And we did it because we knew and that T-18 was found, that the military, when they were returning properties back to the government of Guam, and that they identified this area for a memorial site. And rightfully so, this area is very sacred because of the caves that are here. Who would have thought that there would be caves in a village, right?
Right,
Especially the central. No.
Right. And I think that's really interesting is that as we get further from World War II and these historical accounts come out, you would think that we've already discovered everything about
Right.
the war and what happened. But, even in 2019, 75 years later, we're still hearing news stories of the bravery and the suffering that the Chamorros endured.
They have. And so this is where we're at today. And this day that we memorialize them. And I know they're looking down on us, and they're down here looking at us up here.
Right.
And we're just showing them that we do care. After 75 years, we're here to say thank you. And we're also saying that we have never forgotten about you. It's always Hasu Barrigada, Hasu
Hasu
Kalaguac,
Barrigada.
Hasu Kalaguac Memorial. And this is why.
Can you tell us some of the stories that you heard from your family about this area and the hardships that they endured?
Well, what my father had told us is that this area was taken over by the Japanese, and that this area was also where the families with children, especially the mothers with children, to hide, because if they were to be captured, they were either taken for slavery or to be beheaded or killed. And so, of course, the parents, right, or those that are here today, there were babies, and they were hiding in the caves, and they had to close their mouths so they won't get captured and killed in this area. And so this was more of a haven. They were haven for them.
Right.
And nobody found this area yet. This is where they were all hiding. Who's to say that there's more caves here? Because there's a lot of overgrown vegetation.
Right.
We didn't go further in. We just went to the edge first. Then we're going to work our way. But underneath here, there are more caves, and I got it on my phone here. But when you go down, it's just that we don't want everybody to come down here.
Right.
And I don't want them to get upset.
Right.
But underneath where we're standing here, there's another cave that goes in deeper under here, right from under here.
And how many people would you say were hiding in these caves?
A lot of them. There's because you do have the Pat Deng family, the Bloss family that were here, the Florises, the Chrysostomos, they're all here. So you have a lot of family members that own property in here, but now that this runway has been built, the properties have been taken away and they've never been compensated. So there are a lot of families that own property in this area.
And so this has got to be a very emotional journey. We're going to talk with Colonel Muffness. But for people who haven't been back to this site since the war, and again, I got to go back to here we are in 2019, and we're discovering new sites and new memorials.
That's correct.
And I know that we're going to talk with Stephanie here that they're going to dedicate another memorial coming up soon.
Yes, they are. And I hope that every day or every year that we identify these, because I am quite sure that there are 19 villages. There's something that happened in every village.
Right.
And, Barrigada, we're just very fortunate with the help of the Menengan Foundation. Uncle Willie has been very supportive with us to make sure that this was going to happen today.
Is it possible? Could both of you wear that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Look what we have here.
Oh, wow. Hasu Barrigada.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go find Stephanie and talk with Stephanie real quick. And so how much planning went into this memorial, and not just this memorial, but this ceremony that we're having today?
So what it is that we've been working on this for the past almost 2 years now. And that I also give a lot of credit to the late James Castro, because he was one of our municipal planning council member.
Right, yeah, James is a friend
Yes,
of
he's very good. He's also a resident of Barrigada. But he also had put something together when I asked him, let's do this. Because you know what, something did happen here. And with collaborative efforts with the Municipal Planning Council, the Menengan Foundation, we finally got it together with a memorandum of understanding with the airport and a SHPO. That's why we're here today.
That's really, really just overwhelming story. And Stephanie's the president of the Menengan Memorial Foundation, but you've also been tasked by the governor to handle the memorials for the 75th Liberation. And I know that we have another memorial that we're going to be dedicating.
Yes. So this year we were very aggressive, and because it's the 75th, we wanted to honor as many World War II survivors as we can, and to bring awareness to the different groups. So we have a memorial that we built in Mangilao for the Mangilao war survivors, and to recognize the fact that Mangilao was a resettlement area after the war. After they came out of Manangan, they usually were stopped in Manila and then resettled. And then also going into Manangan, that's where the Japanese corralled everybody and then said, okay, you're going to Manangan, you're going to Mata, you're going to Asinan. So that Manila area is extremely important, and not a lot of people know about that.
Right.
And then so in Agate, because of the Fena, the location of the Fena caves, and we worked with the mayor to find a site off base where all the people from Agate can come and pay respects to their war survivors and the ones who didn't make it. And so that will be unveiling towards the end of the month in Agate. So you'll be able to see that as well.
I was sharing with the mayor that I thought we knew everything about World War II, and to find out that there were so many other areas where Chamorros suffered, where they endured, where they carried on their legacy. To me, it's just a real eye-opener, because I had no idea that people hid here in the war. I mean, I knew that they were, enslaved to build the runway, but again, even Mangilao is a resettlement place.
Yeah.
Mayor Paco, we did the Manangan Memorial Relay, and he was telling me that, people from the Agani area resettled over there by Cars Plus because there was a marine depot there that, led to a lot of jobs being created.
Right. And then also on this Thursday at 4 p.m. we have for the first time the remembrance of the Asinan camp. Now, Asinan was a very large camp as well. People from PD, Asan, Mayina, and some other areas were settled in Asinan. So this is the first year that we're able to honor them.
Right.
Now, the Asinan camp itself is all on private property, so we're going to be doing it right there at the bridge on the border between Chalampago and Jotnya. And the Jotnya mayor has been very gracious. He's going to host that this year. So it's the first time that the people from Asinan will be publicly remembered in a larger way.
Right, and I got to wonder, if we're doing our research and discovering all these historical sites, are there others that we're not going to be able to get to this year?
Yeah, there are so many. When you went down to Manangan, you saw those rows of camps. There's 22 there, and so we're only barely scratching the surface when we're doing these. But we're just trying to do what we can.
Right, and so we're going to speak with Colonel Mofness here, but I had asked you, hey, can you give us the background, and you had name dropped Colonel Mofness.
Yeah, I said Colonel Mofness was here, and so he's going to tell you the story. It's better in his words.
Right. And Colonel Mofness, if you could, just take us back and we'll go up here to the memorial. And I guess my first question would be, what is it like coming back to this site? I'm sure you've been here before, but, coming back to this site in this context with all these people here to honor and respect what happened here.
Really, Chris, I would say this is a sad thing for me to come back again and try to bring back what happened during the war, and all that, because it really touches my heart here, because this is where I almost died here during the time that the Japanese were, building the runway and then doing the labor. My mom and dad will always try to hide me somewhere, because the Japanese doesn't believe in having kids around, because they don't want to be, stopped from doing what they're supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, my mom and dad were kind of separated, because my mom will be here to help out doing the Japanese runway, like doing the laundry, cooking, and whatever. My dad would be going up and doing the hard labor, going up to Barrigada, up to Manangan and all that. So, it's really sad, because I just have to say this much. I was still a young stud at that time.
How old were you?
I was only like 3 months. Wow. And then what happened here was that they will be hiding me on the cave, because, they don't want any kids, because from what my mom was telling me, that if they have kids, they will take these kids away from them, and they kind of send them off, like maybe to Saipan.
Never see them again.
Never see them again. So that was, and she was worried in the very beginning, because she figured that I might not survive, because she will leave me here with some of the friends to hide me, and then, I will have to say that it's some malnutrition, because feeding was the biggest thing around here.
Right.
So it's really sad that, and I never want to hear the story behind it, but, coming back here, as a matter of fact, let me just go around. A lot of them didn't know that there's a cave here.
Right.
And when we started all this event, I told the mayor back then that there's a cave here. that was being used for hideout for all the survivors and people that are not, being used to do the legwork for the Japanese.
Right. How did we go this long without knowing there were caves here and knowing the story of the
Well,
site?
I guess the bottom line here is that we've been trying to fight this for the past 25 years, and I guess it's because of the airport situation here. It never materialized until finally June Bloss. We continued pushing the issue, and then finally we came up. Like I said, they didn't even know that there's a cave in here, so that's why they didn't even pay attention to much what's going on this one.
Right.
So, I have to give credit to June and the vice mayor for really pushing the issue.
And she was telling us that this was her family's land, some of this area. And
Yeah, this is the Laguana land and all that. Also, our land is on that side over there, on that by the airport side. That's where we kind of grew up right after the war. So this is the Laguana and some other family that own this property here.
Colonel, what would you say to the young people watching this? I mean, this is a very somber time, and I understand that we're celebrating the 75th liberation, but to me this is more about a celebration of the resilience of the Chamorro people, and honoring and respecting the suffering that they endured during the war.
Well, I would like to tell the young people nowadays to please respect the Manomco. They've been going through a rough situation during the war, and don't take anything for granted, and you have to honor them because they really suffer. So for young people, please look at this and take it as it is, and hopefully it will never happen, during their time.
Right, because I definitely wonder how these young people would take. I mean, I
Right.
can't even relate.
Right.
Colonel. Yeah.
So just be patient and just don't try to make fun out of what's going on here. I know
Respect your elders.
that's it. Respect your elders, like the old saying.
Right,
Respeta
right.
di manamko and all that. That's the bottom line.
Right. Thank you so much, Colonel. I know that we're about to start the ceremony here. We're going to take you live for this ceremony with the KUAM stream team. Really just glad to share this piece of history with you guys. Again, my name's Chris Barnett. Thank you so much for watching Group Chat. Hasta adios.